Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the RC. We are back with another episode. Curtis over here with myself, Chris, and guys, we have a very special guest with us today. Joining us is Bonnie Cayden Charles. Cayden, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me.
So basically, we're gonna start just get to know you a little bit, some fun icebreaker questions. So first question we got for you: what's your go-to pregame song? Warm it up, layup lines, whatever. What's a song that you're gonna be bumping in your headphones?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of a little bit of everything. I say for the most part, I like to listen to gospel before
Okay.
I'm going. So I listen to a lot of Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond. I mean, it's honestly whatever I'm in the mood for, but yeah, it just depends. I wasn't really a guy that was on the aux like that though, so it just
Yeah,
depends.
you're the type of guy to wear your own headphones, not just listen to like whatever the
Yeah,
Riley
yeah,
request.
for sure, for sure. I mean, I love the guys, but they had some like questionable songs that
That's fair. That's fair.
wasn't a big fan. So I'm usually a guy that listens to my own music, So
Respect it. Respect it.
Sweet. And I'm a big food guy. What would you say your favorite pregame and postgame meals are?
oh, that's a good question. Um, Pre-game, I would say steak. I just love having steak.
Yeah.
For pregame. To be quite honest with you, I don't like eating like after the game. Like my stomach feels crazy most of the time. I probably have to take like 2 hours before I can even eat. But when I do, I just say chicken and rice. I mean, that's just something that I love to eat.
Yeah.
Just skip it simple. I'm not really a fancy guy with all of that.
Yeah.
So I'll say those things.
All right. Did you have a favorite NBA player growing up? Someone you kind of modeled your game after, something like that?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I had a favorite player. I do just like watching different guys,
Mm.
especially in my position and kind of the kind of style how they play. I say one guy that really I watched was Jimmy Butler. Just the
Okay.
way he plays, two-way guy, kind of off the ball, does little things. I mean, if you want to talk about most entertaining, probably Steph. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
How he played. I mean, he's probably the most entertaining. But I say a guy like Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, I love watching. Just guys, they're two-way guys, wing position guys that I can kind of take certain aspects from their game and try to add it into mine.
Love it.
100%. If you're a pretty athletic guy, so if you were playing a sport other than basketball, what do you think it would be?
Definitely baseball. Like I don't have the hand-eye coordination. Like I suck at it. I'm not gonna lie, but I love baseball. Like even during the summer, like my brother, he always gets a softball game going at least a few times. So I just love being out there. I definitely wish I did that. When I was younger, I played a little bit of soccer, but nothing crazy. But if there was a sport that I wish I could go back and play, it'd be baseball.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're both big baseball guys here. I'm on the club
Yeah.
baseball team at Bonaventure. Chris is a huge Yankees
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Dang, I can't lie. I don't like Yankees fans.
I don't like Yankees fans either.
I can't get my dad's a Mets fan. We're originally from New York, so my dad's a Mets fan. Then my brother's a Yankees fan. Then I'm a Braves fan. So
Okay.
I don't like the big spending teams. To be quite
Oh,
honest with you, but that's just me.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll find some common ground somewhere else, I suppose. Last question here for the icebreaker section. What's something that you're surprisingly good at that has nothing to do with basketball? It could be another sport, it can be like just some sort of hidden talent that people wouldn't expect that Cayden Charles is good at.
Yeah, yeah, good question. I actually, I really haven't. I don't think I've said this publicly, but I actually used to play trumpet for a while. So I used to play all the way up until high school, and then when I went into college, just focused on basketball. But
Yeah.
I did a marching band for 2 years. I think freshman and sophomore year of my high school year, and then I was in like the top band, for band. I haven't played in a while, but I'd say that's probably my hidden talent. I guess also.
Cool.
that's pretty
Big
sweet.
Play any instruments?
I used to play trumpet too. Right
Oh.
now, mine's sitting in my basement at home collecting a lot of dust. My
Oh
dad
my
gets
God.
mad at me about that, but
I never really got into the instruments. I wish I did. It's a cool talent to have. Like,
trumpet's the best instrument.
Oh, for
I mean,
for
if
sure,
you
man.
could just
I
go
love
to
it.
any event and just pull out the trumpet, I mean, that's a pretty cool talent to have. You can entertain a lot of
No,
people with that. All right,
oh yeah, I did it for a while there, so it was fun.
so with that, we're going to get into our first kind of section of questions that we have for you. The first part is going to be the D2 to D1 transition. Everyone knows you were a 4-year D2 guy, played a lot of D2 ball, and then transferred to Bonaventure for 1 year of D1 basketball. So, Curtis, why don't you get started with that?
Well,
First
yeah.
question.
Well, this Bonaventure team that we have coming up this year has a lot of guys in the same space as you. So we're very curious on how your transition was, and hopefully they follow your transition, because your transition seems, at least to the naked eye, like a beautiful transition. You fit into this Bonaventure team very well. And we're hoping some of the guys Coach McDonald brings in from Damon can make that same adjustment as you. But for you, what was that biggest adjustment when you came to Bonaventure from Division One basketball to Division Two basketball?
Sure, good question. So I kind of got asked this a lot throughout the year, and just kind of reflecting and looking back at this year, I'd say the biggest adjustment maybe was the size and maybe the speed. So for example, at Division Two guys, my matchup would be maybe 6'3", 6'4". The tallest I get maybe 6'5", right, and maybe around my same weight, maybe 210, 215. But one thing I learned this year is my matchup usually was around 6'7", 230. Like it could be like that, right? And I'm, kind of interchangeable, so I'd guard 1 through 4. A lot of times, we like to switch a lot of times we were switching ball screens, so I could end up on bigger guys, and I'm Xing out, getting out to shift your guard. So I'd say maybe just that aspect, and also the speed of the game. I would say that Schmidt, he loved to get up and down. He emphasized for 3 steps, and that was something that maybe I wasn't doing as much at Division Two. So, and just in general, the speed of the game is faster, right? So guys are quicker, more athletic, so the game is naturally going to be at a more athletic pace. However, at the same time, with all that being said, I mean, it was really just basketball at the end of the day, right? So something that helped me, at the Division Two level, there's high level basketball, right? So just speaking to somebody the other day, I mean, the top players that I played still, even after this year, were still from the Division Two. I still look back and it's like, wow, this guy was still, man, he's just as talented as some of the guys I was playing, if not more talented, right? So it would be ignorant to say that Division Two is a better level, obviously, but when you look at the way the game is played, the certain cuts that you're making, certain schemes, is really the same. And I think Division Two kind of prepared me for this last year, which helped me kind of have the success I did this past year.
100%. I think many can make the argument that D2, D3 are more actual like basketball, like you're thinking like the game. Because with D1, the transfer portal is so crazy that you were only here at Bonas for 1 year. Most people are only at Bonas for a year. It's hard to instill a system. In D2, you were there for most of your college career, so you were able to get into that system. Guys on your team were, because there's not as much jumping from team to team.
Absolutely, that's a good point you make. I think nowadays in this modern era, the best teams, or the teams that have the best chance, are the guys that have returners coming back, who have had a core group of 2-3 years. Because one thing for this past year, I mean, we, like you said, that was a completely new team. These are guys that we just played for 1 year, right? So we have to really build that chemistry kind of quickly, and that's hard to build a chemistry in a few months in comparison to a team who has been together for 3-4 years, right? So, and that's kind of what you're going to see now, is seeing what teams and what programs can kind of retain their talent and retain their guys, and I think those are the most experienced teams are going to end up having the kind of the advantage.
So second question we got for you, was there a moment early in the season where you thought, all right, like, yeah, I know I can play at this level? Because there is a moment that stuck out to me and Curtis personally. It was against Youngstown State in a back and forth game. Was that the first game in the Riley Center this season?
It wasn't, but it was one of the first.
It was like the second or third game in the Riley Center. It was electric. You drew a charge after you had lost your shoe and actually roared towards the student section, and that just got everyone so hyped up, and the Bonnies did pull out with that win. And they start the season this year against Youngstown State, so I expect another great game. But, yeah, that was the moment for us where we're like, all right, yeah, this guy's a dog. This guy can play at this level. But we were just wondering, was there a specific moment to you where you realized that you could play at this level? Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that first game of the year. I mean, so obviously, throughout training camp, throughout the summer, right, you're playing against guys, and you start to build confidence, and you feel you can while you're in practice. But obviously, a live game situation is different. So, but I'd say probably those first 2 minutes coming into when we played Bradley, I believe that was in South Carolina, whereas I think I made the first basket, and I was just like, yeah, like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like but I've always had that belief in myself. But obviously when you're in a game and you're doing it in a live setting like that, you kind of build confidence from there. And I wouldn't say it was a specific moment. I would say that I was like, yeah, I'm ready at this level. But I just think throughout the work that I put in, leading up to those moments is what kind of prepared me. Kind of one thing I always lived by was you kind of get confidence through the work that you put in. And for me, I know I put in the work for it. And so when those moments came, it was just, it was natural, right? It wasn't anything, not really thinking about it, just doing it. And then when you're doing it, it's like, all right, I'm here, right? So, but yeah, I would say that. I do remember that. That was probably my favorite moment of the year for sure. But yeah, that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, yeah, I'm at this level. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, you mentioned the work that you put in. Obviously, with the transfer portal, like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of work that has to go in with the team every offseason. So can you give us a little look inside? What was that summer like when you were training with Coach Mark Schmidt and the Bonnies for this year?
Yeah, for sure. It was tough. Schmidt, man, he made it. He put a program that was tough for us, right? We're probably in there 2 or 3 times a day, almost like a 9 to 4. Either we're working, basically we're working out, getting shots up, and it was tough. He kind of wanted us, I believe that last year we were actually kind of shorthanded. So if I remember correctly, the international players weren't there. So I think it led us to 8 players during summer, if I'm not mistaken. And it's tough, right? Because every day you're coming in, you're shorthanded, so you're getting more reps, you're conditioning, you're doing all that. But what I realized, especially throughout the years, kind of how that work prepared us for the moments that we had and what Schmidt was trying to get us to do. During the season, it's a grind, right? And so you have to, making sure that you're prepared physically, but also mentally is most important. And that summer, I think he did a great job in doing that. And I think all of us kind of had that grit mentality that he kind of wanted us to have, and so he kind of instilled that in us that summer. And so it was definitely a learning experience. Probably the hardest summer I've had, to be quite honest with you. But looking back, I see what he was doing, and I appreciate him for it.
Yeah. You talk about your mentality. You had that dog mentality. Everyone could see it from the Bradley game to the Youngstown State game where you lost the shoe, even to the end of the season where you played almost the entire time during the A10 tournament. Not the end any of us wish we had, but you guys made it so much better than what we were expecting. And you being that dog, just that mentality is not something that Schmidt could have taught you in just the summer. So how's that mentality been through you your whole entire life and shaped you into the basketball player and individual you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Schmidt kind of said it, but I've always felt like that. Playing hard is a skill, right, that you have, right? That's something that you kind of just don't wake up and it's like, yeah, I'm going to play hard, right? Either you have it or you don't, in my opinion. And for me, I always believe that there's always somebody more talented than you, right? So there's always somebody that's going to be who can shoot the ball better than you, who can dribble the ball better than you, who's more athletic, who has whatever the case may be, right? But if you have a motor that nobody can match, it doesn't matter. And so kind of for me throughout my college career, I had to learn that. Coming into when I was in high school, my senior year, I believe I averaged 24 points a game, right? And I came to Division II, and kind of as an ignorant young guy, you expect to come in and you do the same thing. And those first 9 games of that year, I didn't play. And so, but that made me realize this. We had 2 All-American guys that were averaging 20 on that D2 team, right? Who are now both going to be pros now. But and so what that taught me is I have to expand my game. Not just from the scoring aspect. So what can I do to impact the game in a different way? And so for me, that was defensive rebounding. And so my first year, freshman year, I literally just focused on defensive rebounding. And then once I got more comfortable throughout the games and the years went on, I just layered and layered my offensive game on top of that. But the foundation of who I was, which was a motor and defensive rebounding, is what stuck with me. And so when I got to Schmidt, by the time I'm a senior, it's like, that's what I'm used to. That's what got me on the court, and that's what got me to success throughout my college career. So, but again, that's something I had to work at, and something I had to learn. And that's a skill that I kind of had to develop. And I'm just glad that it did, and it worked out with Schmidt. And I'm glad he liked me and my kind of mentality, but it ended up working for me a little bit last year.
Yeah, it felt like Schmidt in the last couple of years, at least as long as I've been here, they've always had a guy on the team that was kind of like a do-it-all, kind of do the dirty work type of guy, and you were that guy last year, and you kind of put yourself in that role very early in the season, and everyone recognized that right away, and I think that was probably a big part of why they recruited you, because they love guys like that, like who can do a little bit of everything, and that's what you brought to the table. But now, last question of the D2 to D1 transition part of this. What part of your game do you think translated the easiest from D2 to D1? We've talked about the tough stuff, the size, the speed. What was kind of like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be?
Man, that's a good question. But maybe not a certain skill, but maybe in terms of the IQ part of the game. One thing that did kind of was surprising to me was maybe the IQ level. So I believe at the Division II level, as we talked about a little bit earlier, guys at the D2 level maybe aren't as athletic, maybe they're not, whatever the case may be, but they're extremely smart and they're extremely skilled. And so there were certain things when I came into Bonaventure that or even looking at other teams and other scouts, it's like you're looking at players and you're like, man, why did he make this cut? Or why he didn't make that cut? Or something like that. For me, that seemed basic and something that I've learned and kind of was part of me, but many guys don't have that, right? Because a lot of guys maybe they're athletically just gifted, and so they're able to get to that level right away. And so, but maybe they didn't learn, hey, let's make a 45 cut when it comes to the baseline, or we like to do a thing called wheel action. So I'm not going to bore you, but baseline makes a cut, and wing guy goes to the corner, and it's like that was something I was taught that I always knew, but certain guys maybe didn't know right away. And so I would say maybe the IQ and maybe the actually seeing the game for what it was, maybe it was the most surprising for me. I was like, no, like maybe that wasn't taught, or something like that. But I would say that, and then I mean in terms of skill level, I mean I wouldn't say anything really surprising for me that maybe translated. It was just kind of the same for where I was 2 years ago and where I was last year. So, but I'd definitely say the IQ part of it.
I agree with what you were saying, because like last year we had a couple veterans on the team. You have played 4 years of college basketball. We had Frank last year, a couple guys like that to kind of lead the younger international guys like Andrew Ostasui, Lenati, Ilya Ermakov, like all these guys that were very raw talent. So to have you there to talk about all these baseline cuts or whatever you're talking about, like that's probably very helpful to them and very beneficial, because I know basketball overseas is much different than it is here. So just having someone in their corner, I'm sure they appreciated that a lot.
For sure, and those guys in particular, I mean, even them, kind of learning them at their age and what they already have. I mean, they're already superbly smart with the game, and so they were way ahead of me than what I was at their age. So hopefully, they gained something a little bit from me. I don't know if they did or not. Hopefully, they did, but those guys, they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna be good.
So let's now talk about your path to St. Bonaventure. We talked a lot about that transition from D2 to D1, but why St. Bonaventure? Like you entered the portal. What was the communication like? Like, did you have multiple programs reaching out to you? What was it like? Because the portal's so new and so unknown.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy to the person on the outside. So what's that inside look for you? How was your experience like?
For sure, good question. So I wish I could sit up here and say that I was a top prospect for Bonaventure. I knew I was going there right away. So I went into the portal kind of late, maybe 2 weeks after it entered, and I was in the portal for 6 weeks. And throughout those 6 weeks, to be quite frank with you, it was a lot of top Division II programs that were reaching out to me. So I'll get to it in a little bit, but Coach Mike McDonald, who's actually now the coach now, he was recruiting me heavy at Damon. When I was in the portal last year at a Division II, Nova Southeastern, Washburn, a lot of top D2s, but only a few Division Ones. And so, long story short, I was in the portal for 6 weeks. I was actually going to go to Central Connecticut, which is not obviously in Connecticut, and about to go, and then on some random Sunday, Woj calls me, and I promise you, it was probably the last day I was going to be on the portal. And Woj calls me. It's like, hey, I heard about you from Coach McDonald, and I want you to come to St. Bonaventure. And I actually didn't even know who he said. Adrian Wojnarowski. We know him as Woj, and so I was like, I was just waking up from a nap, so I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm about to go to a different school. And Adrian called me. Basically, he's like, hey, he just hung up on, and then I kind of clicked in my head like, oh, that was Woj, and that's Bonaventure, and so we ended up getting it kind of figured out in like 24 hours or less than 24 hours. But the portal is a crazy place. I mean, I personally didn't enjoy it. It's almost like I was joking with somebody. It's like being unemployed and like you don't know where you're going to be, right? Because you have certain schools you could be. I mean, there was a point I thought I was going to Connecticut, Florida, Colorado, right? You just don't know. I mean, it's just such a never-changing or never-ending process, it feels like. But Bonaventure coming in at the way it did, man, was crazy. And kind of when I got that offer, I was like, hey, let's go with it. I'm going to take that. So, and that's kind of how I ended up at Bonaventure, which is kind of a crazy story.
That is a crazy story, honestly. We're all very glad it happened, obviously. Central Connecticut's probably kicking themselves. They're probably mad that it didn't work out for them. But was there anything specific that they told you about what your role could be here at Bonaventure? And did that have any role in the deciding factor of choosing, say, Bonaventure?
Yeah, good question. So not really, to be quite honest with you. There wasn't a, we want you to be this and that. To be honest with you, like, already knew in the back of my head that I would probably I was one of the last spots. So I was like, okay, so this means I'm going into a situation where I'm gonna have to bet on myself and have to kind of work my way up. But that's something I was kind of already used to, right? So I wasn't intimidated by the fact that there might be I might be last on a roster spot or projected this last in a roster spot or anything like that. I just knew I just kind of wanted a shot. I just kind of wanted my foot in the door, and just as soon as I got that, I was like, let's just go. And so, and that's why the summer was so important to me, because I wanted to really establish myself as a guy that, like you guys said, can do all these things, can be hard-nosed, and I was willing to play that role. And so throughout the summer, I kind of had to build a trust from starting out. So, and that's kind of how it kind of happened. And, as the season went on, then I continued to build confidence, continue to get confidence from the coaches. My role continued to grow and grow. In other ways. So, but to answer your question, no, there wasn't really like a, hey, you're coming in and you're going to be averaging, 7 points, or you're going to be a defensive guy. It was just, we want you in. And I just needed the foot in the door and kind of made the best out of the situation. So.
And that's how it kind of was when we saw that you committed. I was looking at the roster, and I'm like, we got this guard, this D2 guard, late commit. It's like, where does he really fit into this roster?
Right.
But then you see the first couple games, you see that you do a lot more than you would expect a 6'3" guard to do, and that's clearly what Woj and everyone saw in you, and that's why they chose you to come here.
Yeah, you mentioned McDonald's and your connection with him, with Damon being actually recruiting you.
Yeah.
And then he takes the job at Bonaventure. What is your relationship like with Coach McDonald? Obviously, it's sad to see Schmidt go and McDonald take over this position. It's a huge situation for him. I'm excited to see the McDonald era of basketball. What's your relationship like, and are you excited to see the new Mike McDonald era of St. Bonaventure basketball?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I mean, I have nothing but good things about McDonald. I mean, he's a great man, great coach, and I'm excited. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's hard to see Schmidt go because Schmidt gave me a shot, and I'll forever be in his debt for that. But now with the McDonald, my relationship with him is good. Just kind of even just touching base with him just to check up, and he checks up on me from time to time. And I think you guys are really going to see a good brand of basketball from him. I like to say a lot of times the best coaches come from Division II or for the lower levels, right? Because a lot of Division II, Division III coaches, they may not have the resources as a lot of these Division Is, and so they have to make stuff all on their own, and they have to really game plan by themselves or put in the right program. Like everything is done by them, and so and I think that's what makes good coaches. And I think McDonald has all that. And I wish I could play for him, man. And I mean, it's tough kind of situations with what's going on. Obviously with the portal, it's ridiculous. But I think he's going to do a great job. And I think that he can really. I mean, I don't know what the kind of the expectation for Bonaventure, but I can assume that you guys are really going to shock some people this year, and I think he's going to be a huge part of that and the reason for that. Just kind of how he plays and style and the culture that he's going to bring to Bonaventure.
Yeah, that transitioned us nicely into another question we had about this whole fifth-year debacle, this whole crazy stuff going on in NCAA eligibility. At one point, we saw you enter the portal. At one point, it's like, oh, he's not eligible. And then a couple weeks ago, you're granted another year, and then we haven't seen you commit anywhere yet. You're still kind of in the gray. We're in the gray. Are you still in the gray too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, still in the gray, as is hundreds of athletes, I can assume.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been ridiculous. To be quite honest with you, I really can't, at liberty discuss where I'm really specifically at, but I will say it's been a lot. I did enter in April, and then as we all know, they didn't give it to the fifth year, and then now they gave it to the fifth year, and now they don't. And so I think it's left a lot of people are unsure of what to do right now, and so for me, it's just a matter of, hey, making sure legally I'm able to play, and making sure I'm staying in shape. I think and making sure I'm prepared mentally for basketball, right? So that's still my goal, and I know, and I'm confident it'll still happen. And so the challenge for me right now is how can I make sure I'm prepared, even if I don't know where I'm going to be yet. So that's kind of very actually I think about it, it's very similar to where I was a year ago, right? You don't know where you're going to be, or you don't know what's going to happen, but the challenge is making sure you're prepared while that's happening, and that's kind of part of being a pro, and that's part of being disciplined, but that's kind of what comes with the game, it comes with this industry that we're in now. So I mean, I will say it has been a crazy experience, I'm sure, for everybody else involved, players, coaches alike, and hopefully it kind of gets resolved kind of here soon, where we get like a clear cut answer on what that's going to look like for everybody and for a college landscape. But we'll see. That's all I can really say. I wish I had all the answers, but we'll see.
Well, I think a lot of people are wishing they had all the answers with that. It's just crazy. From the outside looking in, I've been just shocked. Like, guys that, like Frank Mitchell, we knew he was done after this year, and then randomly he enters the portal and he's protesting. Everyone's trying to get that extra year of eligibility, and NCAA is dragging their feet, and it's hurting guys like you, the athletes that want to compete. Talking about Frank Mitchell, he's someone who's competed in Canada, he's going to compete in Europe. Have you thought about something like that, going overseas to play, or are you wanting to play that one more year of college basketball and see where that takes you?
For sure. It depends. That's a great question. I mean, it just depends on an opportunity and a situation, right? So that's kind of another aspect that comes with it. Is like, hey, do I go pro, or do I, kind of see what the college market is right now? So, obviously the college market is intriguing, there's no shock to it, right? The opportunity that's there, you get to stay in school, get paid. You can literally get paid now, but get paid for your school and, continue to increase your stock or increase your exposure, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, you have to level that with professionals. It's like you have to, hey, what are the pros and cons to each of those, right? And so that's something that I'm, again, weighing and as I said earlier, a lot of other people are waiting and weighing, but as you said, NCAA kind of dragging their feet doesn't make it makes it a little bit tougher to kind of make calls and like, hey, what do we want to do here? So that's as we come up, in the next couple of weeks, a few weeks, and kind of getting a clear-cut answer, we'll kind of hopefully I'll see what it is and kind of make some decisions here soon. But like you said, it's kind of in the gray area right now. So definitely interesting times and unprecedented times that we were in a little bit, but hey, we kind of go with the flow a little bit. So we'll see.
I think if you were to tell any of us when we were like 5 years ago that this would be going on in NCAA, back when players weren't getting paid for NIL, not getting paid for anything, and now players are signing multi-million-dollar deals. There's lawsuits about eligibility. I'm just amazed how much I feel like college basketball, it's not an amateur sport anymore. It is a professional sport.
I was just about to say, it's professional, it's pros, right?
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, when you bring in money and you bring in stuff like that, you bring in contracts, it becomes a pro sport, right? And so that's kind of what we're seeing, and I think that's a big reason as to what we're seeing. To be honest, you know, we're seeing. I mean, I follow football. We see guys in the NFL that are coming back into the portal now, or you know, whatever the case. Maybe guys from the G League coming back into college, which you know makes it just crazy in a crazy kind of world that we're in. But it's once you bring in money and once you bring in kind of that factor of it, that's what you're kind of going to get. And so, you know, hopefully the NCAA can get it under control. You know, we'll see it with them, but it's been tough, man. It's been crazy.
Especially a school like Bonaventure, where and a coach like Mark Schmidt, who really thrived from having the same guys here all 4 years. I mean, that was his thing. They say he had a million plays in his playbook, and like we talked about earlier, you can only teach so many plays to a team in a summer. Like you need 4 years to really build with these guys, and that's what he did, and that's how he became the winningest coach in St. Bonaventure history. That's how he became such a great coach, and it makes it tough in the portal era to you can't teach that many plays to guys in 2 months of summer training, if that. It's impossible.
Right. You can't teach plays. You can't teach chemistry. Right.
Yeah.
That goes back to what I said earlier. I mean, you can't. It's tough to build a team in a year, or to be quite honest, in a few months, because you really have from May until August. No, I'm sorry. From May until November, you have to have a team that's ready to compete, right? And so I kind of look at our team from last year. It's like, okay, we didn't have the greatest year last year, as we all imagine, right? We didn't end the way we wanted to. But I guarantee you, if we had that same team for 2 or 3 years, I mean, who knows what we could have done, right? We had the talent, you know, the personnel, whatever we needed, right? We just needed that time to click. And so again, and what I said, man, the teams that are most experienced, those are the ones you're gonna see really winning conference championships and making it to the big dance and you know winning at the top. So
100%. And that transitions us again nicely into another section where we want to talk about kind of the unity of this basketball team, the unity of the community. So St. Bonaventure, this alumni, the school loves our basketball team.
Yes.
When did you realize that like deep level of love for basketball here in the St. Bonaventure community?
Oh yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I never heard it only in New York before last year, right? It's like, it's just, you know, maybe not a known city like that, right? But like, man, when you come here, it's like Bonaventure is Olean, right? Almost. It's like, you know, the basketball team means so much to the city, to whoever it is, right? And so even though it's a small city and maybe a small community, everybody comes, but like everybody's coming to the game, or everybody's supporting you. And so that makes it feel like you're in, I don't know, New York City, right? Because it's like everybody's kind of pulling for you and everybody's on the same page. And so for me, you know, as a player, that helps me, because it's like, hey, you know, I'm representing not only the school, but I'm representing a city or whatever it is. That means that every game I'm making sure I'm prepared, whether that's mentally, physically, you know, I'm making sure that I'm ready to play every game, because I'm not going to go out there and disrespect the community or the city by a lackluster performance. So I'm not going to disrespect the city because I feel, you know, lackluster today, or I don't feel like playing, right? You know, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than, and you know, Olean is, I mean, they did a great job. I mean, I didn't expect it, and you know, there'll always be a second home based on, you know, and I, you know, still keep in touch with many guys, people from, not guys, just people, you know, the people that I met there have been great. Still stay in touch, and it was a great experience for sure.
100%. I feel like it's just a community that thrives off the basketball. We saw it when in the non-conference slate, when you guys were winning games, it was an electric atmosphere. Sadly, it did slide down a little bit when the struggles began, but there was a few faithful. I know me and Chris were standing in our same spot every game watching you. I remember talking specifically about Cayden and how much we loved you on the court. What kind of connection was there within that team? Because you only had that 1 year, that one summer to build that connection. And like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the international guys, they weren't there. So how do you build those connections? What did Coach Schmidt, what did Woj, what did St. Bonaventure have you doing to build that chemistry, build that connectiveness outside of just playing in the RC?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you know, I was just going to say, you build a connection regardless when you're in a locker room like that. I mean, any organized sport, any time you're in kind of a area like that or environment like that, you're gonna grow personally with the guys. So, for us, even we were living in the dorms, right? So it's not like we're off campus, apartments to ourselves. It's like 6 to a room, right? So it's like you're always building that connection. Whereas it's like, hey, let's go out, let's take a walk, like let's do whatever, let's go to Hickey, like something like that. It's like over time you build those type of relationships with them. And now even though we're all kind of gone our separate ways, I mean, obviously they're still returners, but those are still guys that I keep in contact with, because like, hey, when you go through a season, many people don't understand how tough a season is, right? The grind of it, the mental part of it, the physical aspect of it, and I think when you go through tough times with people, those are when the real bonds really kind of click. And so for us, man, it was a tough year. I mean, obviously we had a lot of highs, we had a lot of lows, there was a lot of emotional moments, and so but within all that, you kind of build relationships that kind of never go away. And so, like I said, I mean, I still have great relationships with the guys. I wish them all success, but I say in total, I think throughout the year, throughout everything, we all stuck together. It would have been easy for us to point fingers and kind of lose the locker room through certain situations, but we didn't, and kind of stuck together. And I'm grateful for those guys for how they helped me, and I owe a lot to them.
Okay, I got one more question for you. We'll kind of end it the way we began, with a little more of a fun question. So there's not too much to do in this Olean Allegheny community, but what's something that you and the guys maybe enjoyed going out to do? Was it going to Mount Irenaeus? Was it something in the towns? Like, what was something that's unique to this area of Western New York that you enjoy doing that you'll miss? You'll reminisce about in a couple of years about your days at Bonaventure.
Man, that's a good question. That's a good question. Well, like you said, there's not a lot to do up here.
There's not.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's gonna sound lame, but I mean, just the amount of time as we just go and hang out at the RC Cafe, or something like that. Like, I don't know, just walk around campus. I mean, I can't remember the amount of times we just randomly just take a walk around campus or whatever the case may be. I mean, it was, like you said, there's not a lot to do. But with that, you have a lot of like downtime and a lot of, kind of camaraderie time, I guess you want to call it, with them. And so kind of just doing that, man, like that's something that I won't be able to, have again, to be quite honest with you. That was just a unique experience. One thing I will say, I mean, about Olean was, I mean, I'm from Georgia, and, just coming up here and like, I mean, what is it? It's going to be, I don't know, October, November, a little bit, and like there's already snow, and like that
those winters.
Yeah, that was something that was crazy to me. I mean, I remember the first blizzard, and it was like, I remember we had the first blizzard, and like just talking to DeSante, and he's from Boston, and kind of just ranting to him about the snow or whatever. We're just in the just in the living room, just ranted about it, and kind of how crazy it was, and it sounds weird, but it's like those are like things I'll like always remember. Like, dang, like this happened, and I remember talking to him about this or him about that, and kind of experience all those things. So, but with all that, Olean, like you said, maybe not a lot to do, but it's definitely a place that you can't forget, and it's definitely unique, in its own way. So, I would say that.
Well, Cayden, that's all we got for you. We really appreciate you coming on to this with us. It has been a blast, and we wish you the best going forward. Good luck with your future endeavors.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys having me.
But I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Inside the RC. We'll be posting all the updates there as we get closer to the season. We're only like a couple months away from the season starting. We're going to have practices really starting soon, and exhibition games are going to be coming up soon. But Cayden, always a pleasure, and we will see everybody in the next episode.
To anyone who can truly say that they have found a better way, yeah. I'd like to thank Jerry Reed for this next guitar lick.